Good morning and welcome to everyone who's joining us this morning. Wherever you are, whatever your religious background or lack thereof, and whoever you love, into this fellowship and in this worship service you can bring your whole self. I'm Jürgen Allers and I will be your service leader this morning. Before we enter our worship time together, I have a few announcements to make. After the service, those on Zoom joining us are inviting to stay connected and visit with the others on Zoom in the main room for discussion. And if you are visiting on Zoom, please type in your name, how you heard about us, where you are from, put it in the chat box so that we can greet you personally after the service in the main room. Now, those of you who are visiting with us this morning at the Aldea, please join us for coffee and wonderful cookies afterwards. We invite you to check out our welcoming table that has quite a bit of information about our fellowship and our wonderful Social Justice Foundation. Also, keep in mind, every Thursday we have lunch and games at La Frontera restaurant, and also Tom's Coffee Hour every Tuesday morning by Zoom. Check it out in your order of service. You'll see the details therein. Now, if we have any visitors joining us here at the Aldea this morning, would you please rise so that we can see you and greet you after the service? Wow, wow. It's great to see you. We hope that after the service, those of you who might be interested in knowing a little bit about our fellowship, to grab your coffee and a couple of cookies. Now, we're going to do this for the first time this morning. We're going to find the quietest spot up here in this level of the Aldea. Right when you came up from the steps in front of the name tag display, there will be a small circle of chairs, and a couple of members of the board will be there to greet you and give you any information you might want to have about this wonderful fellowship of the Unitarian Universalists. So that would be right after the coffee hour, right during the coffee hour. It'll be a little bit quieter there. We tried it here before, but it doesn't work so well here because the noise factor. So anyway, a couple of additional announcements. On Sunday the 25th, that's next Sunday, Dr. Maria Acosta, a well-known geriatrics physician, will be here to speak to a most important topic, longevity. And I think it can apply to many of us. Francoise helped arrange this, and her presentation will be on the impact of exercise on natural aging, the importance, frequency, and strength training. I can't encourage you enough to join that conversation. It'll be at 12 o'clock in the back room. It'll be quiet there, and I hope as many of you will attend that. I think it'll be a very worthwhile exchange of ideas. Also, Monday, right the next day, not tomorrow, but the following Monday, Circle Sina will be meeting at 5 p.m. at La Frontera for dinner. And the dinner, by the way, is lasagna, both meat and vegetarian, salad, lemon bars, and punch, all for 250 pesos. We would encourage you to call directly at the restaurant for reservations. That's Thursday the 25th, Monday the 25th, I'm sorry. The 26th, I'm not looking at my notes. I'm trying to do this extemporaneously. Monday the 26th, Circle Sina at La Frontera at 5 o'clock. We do record our Sunday services, and they go way back. So if you go to our website, UUFSMA.org, you will find a lot of our services that you can revisit if you would like, or if you missed one, you can check that out. Also, while you're on the website, check out other activities that our fellowship sponsors on a regular basis. Oh yes, I was just given that information about the Penn series, the Penn Winter series. I don't know personally that much about it, but there's a poster right outside the arch entrance on the wall. There's a detailed poster. It starts this Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, the 20th, and it ends on February 25th. So it goes throughout January on a Tuesday at JC3. Please look at that poster for details. I think it would be a very worthwhile series. I think that's the end of announcements. So I would take this moment to introduce my good friend Marco Vangelisti, who is going to be our presenter this morning. Marco fled modern Italian Catholic Inquisition in his early 20s for the less dogmatic and more experimental California of the late 1980s. From the safety provided by 9 time zones from his very religious mother, Marco was able to explore diverse paths to spiritual development. He moved to San Miguel with his partner Maureen, who, by the way, is joining us this morning. It's great to see you, Maureen. In 2022, so that's almost 4 years ago. He now feels most at home in covenant-based communities. Religious dogma is optional, where religious dogma is optional, and independent is generally accepted. For those of you who would like to have Marco's presentation in Spanish, it will be available if you raise your hand right now by our ushers. So if you would like to have his presentation in Spanish, raise your hand and we'll get you a translation. Here's somebody there. Are the ushers, do they have the translation in hand?
I do, I forgot to bring them out.
Okay, Susan is getting it. We've got one hand over here. Are there any of us who want it in Spanish? Espanol? Okay, Susan's going to get it to you. So we're now at the time of entering our worship service, and I want to have a few words of lighting of the chalice, and Marco will help me. As we light the chalice, hear these words from Martin Luther King Jr., whose birthday we celebrate today and tomorrow in the United States. This amazing, amazing human being who transformed much of American thinking in the 60s, and I experienced that time very well. This is his quote for today. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." Darkness, the question is not whether we will be extremists. The question is what kind of extremist we will be. Will we be extremists for hate or for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice or for the extension of justice? Lighting this chalice symbolizes the light, the love that burns within our hearts. To be the extremists who aspire, through love and understanding, to create a more just and a more humane world. Okay. Marco will now give us some opening words.
Well, good morning, all. I want to set your expectations. The opening words and closing words will be a little bit longer than usual, just 2 pages, but my talk will be considerably shorter than your typical sermon. So fear not, your enjoyment of coffee and cookies will not be delayed. So I'm going to read from this wonderful book that my partner introduced me to called Ordinary Mysticism, Your Life as Sacred Ground by Mirabai Starr. And I'm going to read just 2 pages from the very beginning of the introductions. It's called Demystify Mysticism, and if I use my glasses, I might be able to actually see. Welcome to the temple of your regular life, the garden of your days, the harbor where you catch your breath, the theater of your relationships. This is the terrain where you wake up and transform. The sometimes chaotic, frequently fraught, unexpectedly beautiful domain of the everyday. You do not need to trek to a remote shrine in the Himalayas, enroll in expensive seminars, or convert to a new religion to connect to spirit. Your life is holy ground, and you are a mystic. I know you are because all it means to be a mystic is to have a direct experience of the sacred. You have had zillions of those. You may be having one right now. Some resonance in your bones that whisper, yes, I belong. I am intertwined with all that is. A mystic is someone who skips over intermediaries, ordained clergy, prescribed prayers, rigid belief system, and goes straight to God, meaning someone who experiences the divine as an intimate encounter rather than an article of faith. A mystical experience may or may not be connected to established spiritual traditions, theological structures, or faith communities. Mysticism is not about concepts, it is about communion with ultimate reality. And ultimate reality is not some faraway prize we claim when we have proved ourselves worthy to perceive it. Ultimate reality blooms at the heart of regular life. It shines through the cracks of our daily struggles and sings from the core of our deepest desires. A mystic knows beyond ideas, feels deeper than emotions, is fundamentally changed by that which is unchanging. Mysticism is a way of seeing beyond the turmoil, the rights and wrong, the good guys and the villains, to the radiant heart of things. The mystical gaze reveals the miracle in the summer thunderstorm and in the bowl of miso soup in a cold winter night. It glimpses the face of the holy in the withered dahlias and blesses the sound of the siren in the middle of the night. It quickens the heart with yearning and soothes the soul with the felt presence of the sublime. A mystic gazes through the eyes of love, and love reveals itself as the only true thing. For most of us, mystical seeing does not happen all the time. But for all of us, it happens some of the time. And for more and more of us, it is happening more and more of the time. In proportion to current challenges of systemic inequity and climate catastrophe, the flowering of grassroots activism, and the uncovering of ancestral trauma in our own family systems, old filters are burning away, and we're granted renewed access to the numinous nature of reality. When you decide to walk the path of the mystic, the mundane shows up as miraculous. The boring becomes fascinating. and your own shortcomings turn out to be your greatest gifts. When we make a pact with ourselves to show up for reality just as it is, reality rewards us by revealing its hidden holiness, its ordinary wonder, its fruitful shadows, and radiant wounds. Not always, not everywhere, but more and more often, and in places we least expect. Setting the intention to walk the way of love rescues us from the all-consuming preoccupation with what modern chantmaster Krishna Das calls the movie of me, in which we endlessly star, casting ourselves as both hero and villain, keeping up an endless flow of critical reviews. Claiming the plot of our regular lives as sacred ground can dispel the clouds of self-absorption and calm the monkey mind that bounces from banana to banana and steady our twitchy nerves. It takes effort to find the gold in what you once discounted. Your own aging skin and ethnic nose, the grouchy grocery store clerk and the slow driver on the one-lane road, a stomach flu on your first day off in ages, but it gets easier. Your wonder muscles grow more robust and your capacity for appreciation expands. So let's join our voices together in song hymn 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. I invite you to rise in body and spirit and remain so for the covenant. Words will appear on the screen and we'll sing it 3 times.
Standing for a covenant. This covenant is written by our own fellowship, expressing the values that we all aspire to. So I will recite it in English. Is Sebastian here today? I haven't seen him. He is here. All right. I think we can let Sebastian lead us in English and in Spanish. Come on up here.
English first, okay. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant. Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
Thank you, Sebastian. You may be seated. We now enter a very special time in our service, a time when members and friends share with our community significant joys and concerns that they are experiencing. If you would like to share a joy or concern in the future, please email it to our minister, Tom Rosiello, at his email address, which you will find in our website again, UUFSMA.org. The days leading up to that Sunday, and Tom will get it to whoever is the service leader if Tom isn't here himself. Those of you who are in the on Zoom, if you would please, if you have a joy or concern, type it into the chat box, and Diego will let me know if there's anything I should be sharing with you for people on Zoom. Marco, will you help me light the candles, please? We light our first candle of joy. Pat Laird, as you know, had been in the United States receiving medical help, but she's really doing well, and she's flying back on next Sunday, actually, the 25th. So we're very happy to welcome her back into our community, and she feels so much better, so we're very happy about that. We light a candle, our next candle of concern, for Jerry Rossing, who continues to receive medical help in the United States. We light that candle for Jerry. We hope that he will be back. By the way, Jerry and Marco and I are in the same men's group. We've got a very thriving men's group. I think there's a second one. We should make more publicity about that because the women are outnumbering the men significantly. What do we have, 5 or 6 women's group? And I think right now we've got 2 men's groups, so we got a little bit to catch up on. We light a candle of concern. Our good friend and administrator, Diana Amaya, went on vacation. She had a couple of weeks off, but the last week she's been ailing and she is in the process of recovering. So we send our very best wishes for a speedy recovery and for Diana to return into our midst. We got some cards that came to me this morning. A joy. No, actually, this is not a joy. This is a concern or a sad point. I don't know who wrote it, but thoughts for Ray DeVoe, former fellowship member who just lost his daughter-in-law this week. This is a concern from Tom Merlowski. He says, my friends Rich and Kathy is dealing with a terminal cancer diagnosis. I think this also comes from Tom. It looks like his handwriting. Shiaga's birthday was on the 17th. I don't know Shiaga. But anyway, her birthday was on January 17th. And Don's birthday was this week. So that's a candle of joy, I'm sure. Another joy is loving San Miguel have Mary Tyler Moore moments daily, throwing a hat in the air with joy. Okay. Let me see if I have any other. Well, we light our peace candle. This is our white candle. to hold in our hearts all those who are trying to survive or who have been injured or killed in the many violent conflicts around the world in our time. And we send out our hopes for peace throughout the world. The recent aggression by the US and Venezuela is one point of conflict. The ongoing war, it's now 4 years practically in Ukraine. The continuous Mid-Eastern conflicts that keep the world on edge, and other significant crises in African and Asian nations. We light our other main candle, the red, green, and white candle for the people of Mexico. We live and visit here in San Miguel, enjoying the richness of the Mexican culture. And we light this also to hold in our hearts the mistreatment of not only Mexican immigrants, but the millions of immigrants to the US who are in danger due to the present cruel policies of the current administration. And a final candle we light for all the joys and concerns that remain unspoken, but we hold deep in our hearts. During the meditative music that George will be playing, I invite any of you to come forward to light a candle of joy or concern.
I'm back again. Okay, so from blueberries to belonging, musings along the spiritual path is my talk today. So when I was a child, my family spent the summer up in the mountains around Bolzano, which is the town where I was born in northern Italy. And those mountains were my first sanctuary. Long before I knew words like spirituality and religion, I knew the feeling of pine needles under my feet and the smell of damp earth and the quiet joy of discovering something edible hiding in plain sight. My favorite activity was foraging for mushrooms and berries. I learned that the abundance does not announce itself. You have to slow down, you have to look carefully, and occasionally you have to hope your understanding of the mushroom guide is good enough not to kill yourself. My first formal religion lesson happened there. My mother handed me a handful of blueberries and said, "Pick the biggest one." As any reasonable child, I picked the big one and put it in my mouth, and that was followed by a stern slap in my face. And I guess my mother was trying to teach me maybe humility, maybe self-restraint, maybe the dangers of unchecked blueberry capitalism. But what I got out of it is that I had a long way along the road of understanding the inner working of the female mind. This would not be the last lesson delivered with enthusiasm. My mother felt a deep religious obligation to raise a proper Catholic boy. And given my independent and questioning nature, that required what we could generously call hands-on pedagogy. What made it especially complicated is that she herself was very conflicted about it. And sometimes, after the more forceful teaching moments, she would cry, clearly not enjoying the process more than I did. In those moments, I would attempt negotiation. I would try to use logic. I would propose the possibility of skipping specific lessons that neither of us seem particularly to enjoy. Unfortunately, logic is not especially effective when deployed against divine mandate. By my teenage years, things escalated. I learned that being a good Catholic boy meant giving up rock and roll, because it was the music of the devil. Quite a good musician, if I may say. Most movies and any joyful interaction with girls. Dancing was suspect, kissing was definitely out, and curiosity in general was frowned upon. At that point, I concluded religion was not for me. Then I discovered philosophy, especially the existentialist. At 15, armed with logic and a new vocabulary, I proceeded to dismantle my mother's religious belief system. I guess with a confidence unique to teenage boys all over the world. The result was not liberation, it was devastation. Her methods hardened, our relationship grew toxic. Eventually, I put 9 time zones between us by accepting a scholarship to UC Berkeley. By the way, I highly recommend distance as a conflict resolution strategy, although it works best when combined with time, maturity, and a good dose of therapy. Many years later, after substantial therapeutic investment, I came to see my mother more tenderly. As a small child, she lived through World War II. Fear and instability were woven into her earliest memory. Religion, therefore, was not just an abstract theology. It was a lifeline. a way to survive chaos and terror of those years. And I was grateful that before her recent death, we were able to reconnect meaningfully. What I did not realize when I ran away from religion is that I conflated religion and spirituality. So in rejecting one, I unknowingly abandoned the other. And for years, I lived without a spiritual framework, not because I lacked longing, but because I did not trust the structures that claim to offer it. That changed when a friend of mine introduced me to meditation. At the time, I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there was a thriving Buddhist community rooted in the Thai forest tradition and centered around Spirit Rock Meditation Center in Maureen, which became my spiritual home for many years. Buddhism spoke to me in a language I could understand. It encouraged skepticism rather than obedience. It emphasized direct experience over belief. Buddha himself compared his teaching to a raft, not something to worship, but something to use to alleviate suffering and eventually put down. Later reading by Stephen Batchelor's, especially his book, Secular Buddhism, revealed why this path resonated so deeply with me. Compared to Hinduism, from which it emerged, Buddhism's most radical innovations were secular ones. It was the concept of non-self. It was the concept of dependent arising, present moment awareness as the primary path to wisdom, and the Four Noble Truths, understood not as beliefs to affirm, but as tasks to perform, culminating in the Eightfold Path as a guide for ethical living. This approach felt honest, humane, and grounded in reality. And yet, my journey didn't stop there. Someone very close to me, who was living with me at the time, was struggling with depression and using alcohol to cope. I was terrified. The same friend who introduced me to meditation invited me to join an Al-Anon meeting. But my first meeting was confusing. The topic that night was, ready? Concept 7, the trustees have legal rights, while the rights of the conference are traditional. So imagine being a frightened newcomer and spending 30 minutes parsing the legal versus traditional authority of organizational substructures of Al-Anon. What made the thing even more scary is the constant reference to God, which at the time was a trigger word for me. You should know that just a few years earlier, when the Hale-Bopp comet approached Earth, the cult Heaven's Gate committed group suicide in March 1997. This has sent me down a rabbit hole of researching strange esoteric cults in California. After my first meeting with Al-Anon, I said, well, this is how it starts. What saved me was hearing people share stories that sounded like my own. And the closing slogan that said, take what you like and leave the rest. This gave me permission to stay curious without surrendering my autonomy. At first I thought I was there to learn how to make the alcoholic stop drinking. And I thought this group I must have figured out how. What do you use to make him stop, or her? And I was puzzled that people were proudly announcing that they'd been attending for decades. I thought they were very slow learners. It shouldn't keep me more than, 2 weeks to figure it out. But, of course, it took me a couple of months to realize the truth. They were not there to change the alcoholic. They were there to change themselves. By the way, a process I'm still engaged in decades later, as my partner knows. Which brings me finally to how I found my way here. The Bay Area is very rich, of course, in everything, including religion types. And so a friend of mine and I engaged in what we call spiritual tourism. And every Sunday we would go to a different church. We went to churches of religious science, whatever that is, Russian Orthodox, Chinese Christian, Congregational, Zoroastrian, Seventh-day Adventist, Christian Scientist, Mormon. One day we even went to a huge church. Can you believe that? And what stayed with us was not the sermon or the music, but a moment of honesty. The congregation openly discussed a recent incident involving a volunteer in their youth program who had crossed boundaries. There was transparency, accountability, and care for the community. At the same time, the Catholic Church was beginning to reckon, far too late, with the decades of abuse and cover-up. And the contrast was striking. I didn't join a UU church then, but that planted a seed. And so when I came to San Miguel, a friend of mine invited me to come to this congregation, and I didn't feel a resistance to it. I came with curiosity rather than resistance, and what I found was a covenant-based church, not asking me what to believe, but how I promise to be in relationship to others. And like my Buddhist Sangha, like the Al-Anon, this fellowship felt like a harbor for religious refugees like me. People burned by certainty, wounded by dogma, or simply unwilling to stop challenging authority or groupthink. I don't see my journey as complete. I see it as ongoing, rooted in experience, shaped by community, guided by ethics rather than absolutes. And perhaps that first lesson in the forest wasn't about humility after all. Perhaps it was about learning slowly that belonging does not come from choosing the right berry, belief or doctrine, but from walking together, paying attention, and trusting the path as it unfolds. May we keep walking together with curiosity, compassion, and courage, and maybe a little humor. Because if there's one thing my spiritual journey has taught me is this. If someone says that they have all the answer, it's probably time to look for another forest. Blessing to you all. May your blueberries always be abundant. And let's join our voices together in song. It's going to be Hymn Blue Boat Home. Please remain seated so that you can all see the lyrics on the screen.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship ships companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
That is one of my favorite songs. And thank you, Marco. That was such a wonderful journey that you shared with us that we were able to accompany you with. By the way, Marco is the chairperson of the Endowment Fund, and he's also he's a very talented guy. I discovered one day that he plays the piano quite well. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to be necessarily our accompanist. I don't want to give him any depredations, but he's a multi-talented guy. It's really good to have him as a friend. We will now receive the offering for the support of this faith community and for the work that we do in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able.
All right, for the closing word and the blessing, another page from Mirabai Star. It's called My Prayer for You. My prayer for you is that you will fearlessly look upon your life as holy and whole, that you will find meaning and wonder bubbling from the ground of your most ordinary moments. Apply for a job as a barista or attending a parent-teachers conference, dating again after the end of a long marriage, or pulling weeds in your urban garden. Maybe you attend Sunday services at a cathedral, or you prefer to praise the divine in the temple of nature. Perhaps you believe that Christ is the Son of God and Mary is God's mom. Or you dismiss all religious beliefs as artifacts of magical thinking. Agnostic or true believer, scientist or hospital chaplain, retired or building a career, this book is for you. It is a little bell to bring you back to yourself and remember how luminous you are, how connected and noble and miraculous. Here is my prediction. As we propagate the world with wild mystics, the citadels of hate will naturally crumble and fall. Beauty will cascade from every crevice, and we will all find each other irresistible, even though we are those who we once would have canceled. We will see ourselves reflected in the still waters, and we will like what we see. We will gather wisdom wherever we walk and share it with extravagant generosity. Now, one announcement, if you can help us put the hymnals back. We're a little bit short of staff. And we're ready for our last hymn. Please rise in body or spirits. Let it be a dance we do, number 311 in your hymnal, and feel free to dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the word, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain, and